everybody. Keith Engel here for TGI Sports Talk Sunday Stream of Consciousness. I hope you guys are having a good weekend. A little cooler here in the Northeast this weekend, but and a little rainy today. Man, did it rain last night. Woke me up. Rained so loud. But hope you guys are all doing well. Big weekend of sports. Lots to talk about. We'll get into some baseball talk. We'll talk about the Yankees and the kids. Really, to me, energizing this team a little bit. Both Peraza and Volpe keys to yesterday's victory. A little bit of animosity between the Yankees and Toronto, specifically Garrett Cole and Manoah from Toronto. We'll talk some about that. We'll talk about who's hot, who's cold. We'll go around the league a bit, maybe talk some power rankings. We'll get into the NFL draft. Lots to talk about there. The top four quarterbacks. It could all be four. They could all go 1, 2, 3, 4. Or somebody, maybe Levis, will drop. Just lost my screen there. We'll see how that goes. But we'll talk about that. We'll talk about Aaron Rodgers. Is there more intrigue? Are the 49ers seriously becoming players in this topic? Well, again, the NBA playoffs. Knicks with a great win the other night, playing really well, despite their best player, Randall, having a really bad night. The team wins by 20. Good defense. We'll talk a little bit about that. The great defense, it might be a misnomer because Cavs shot about 7 for 100 and wide open 3-pointers. But we'll look at the other things going on. The Bucks down now 2-1 to the Heat. Sixers sweep without Joel Embiid in the last game. We'll get into the NHL a bit. Islanders come back to get themselves back in their series a bit. Rangers with a tough loss last night at home after taking 2 on the road against the Devils. I did want to get Jim Behringer in here today, but Jim and I are having trouble hooking up on Sundays, unfortunately. So we'll do what we can do. And then we'll talk about whatever you want. I actually got a Kenny Gifford had, and Kenny's probably not with us yet. Kenny Gifford gave me a nice human interest story to go along with our conversations about women athletes. We found a good one. And one I did not know about, who is a tremendous athlete. Her name is Joan Joyce. We'll get into that as we go through today as well. So welcome, everybody. We're live, obviously, on TGI Sports Talks page, Northeast Streaming Sports, simulcasting on Let's Talk Sports. You'll always find us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. If you're watching this later on or now, please like and share the show. And please get to the website, or not the website, but the Facebook page, and like and follow the show. We're really starting to grow. I'll mention this again later, but a little bit of housekeeping. This week will be very light for TGI Sports Talk shows, as I will be traveling to Michigan, Lansing, Michigan. Can't be a more exciting place to go than Lansing, Michigan, probably, right? Hey, Alec, how are you? Good to see you out there in the UK this morning. Hope you're doing well. Picked a good time to be a Yankee fan, my friend. So I'll be traveling for work the end of the week, so I will not have shows Wednesday night. We're on a little bit of a hiatus with the college sports huddle anyway. We'll be on periodically. I might even pop in Wednesday night if I'm bored. Thursday, I might pop in on draft shows on Let's Talk Sports, maybe even Northeast Streaming Sports. And Friday, no shows. I'll be at a show actually, and but we'll see. If I'm bored, I'm in a bar. I'm in my room. You'll see me during the draft, maybe from time to time. Maybe I'll do my Major League Baseball update. But there's a possibility you won't see me again until next Sunday. Just an FYI. Good morning, Rick Sherlock. Did Mac attend Perth in the 50s? He struggles with days worse than we do. Yeah, I know. Poor Mac. It's funny because he sent me a text last night, and he talked about Jameis Williams from the Patriots. And I'm like, I don't think that's the right guy. I could have corrected him. I probably should have, but I could have saved him that this morning, but I just said, thumbs up. So it was funny. Thanks, Rick. What else was I going to mention? Watch the newest 101 with Keith Engel is up. I interviewed Kevin Mitchell, former National League MVP, 1989 MVP, former Met key member of that 1986 Mets World Series team. A very interesting interview. He's very candid about some things, and he's even very candid at the end about, why his career wasn't better. It was a good career. Nothing to be ashamed of, but he feels he could have been better. So anyway, check that out. We'll repost it a few times too, so you get a chance to see it towards the top of the feed. So anyway, lots to get into. And as I said, we've got, thank you, Alec. I'm glad you enjoyed it. There are others if you haven't seen now, and we're back to doing these weekly. I've got a few coming up. Do I have my list here? I hope I do. Dan's going to kill me. Coming up, we'll have Reggie Brooks coming up in a couple of weeks. Probably no interview this week. Reggie Brooks, former really great running back at Notre Dame. Delvin Williams, really good running back from in Miami and San Francisco in the NFL. Delvin's got some very, very hard feelings about the NFL and the way he was injured badly during his career, and the way he's had to deal with those injuries, and the way he's gotten little help from the league. He's very vocal about. So we'll get into that a little bit with him. And then the end of the month, we have Dick Drago, former pitcher in the American League, had pitched in that great 1975 World Series with the Red Sox and Reds. I'm bouncing around here a little bit, guys. I apologize. I'm on I moved my studio downstairs and tossed the desk I used to use, and I'm on a table that is shaking a little bit. So there's no earthquakes going on, and I'm not weaving. It's me leaning and pushing this damn table. Great interview as always. Thank you, Rick. Loved his Bates Motel reference. That was funny, right? Oh, God. My favorite, one of my favorite moments in that, it was choppy a little bit because he was on his phone and he got knocked off a couple times, but it worked out all right. Was when he talked about getting traded from the Mets and how he was a bad influence on Doc and Strawberry. As it turns out, I think it was probably the other way around, and by the way, I hope to get both of those guys on the interview show at some point. They're on my list. We had a funny one. I guess I'll tell this story. I didn't want to tell it on the air Friday during our Let's Talk New York show, but one of the guys I had him chasing around was Rick Riley, who's a great writer for Sports Illustrated, has written some books and such. And I'd reached out to him a bunch of times here in the last couple of years. And Dan chased him down and he sent him back. He sent him back a note saying, I'm not interested in this or anything else. And he wrote, I'm retired like 20 times. So he emphatically does not want to come on my show. But in fairness to my show, he doesn't want to come on anybody's show. Anyway, I follow Rick on Facebook. He's a funny guy. I thought he would have been a great interview, but that's fine. Oh, man. So anyway, I appreciate your guys' kind words here. Let's jump into some Major League Baseball here. Anybody else? Anything else I should mention here before we dive in? I guess not. It's our last chance to talk about the NFL draft before we dive into things, so we'll see how that goes. Where do we want to start? Let's just start with some Major League Baseball stuff, shall we? The Rays, interesting. I got to start with the Rays. The Rays are, again, winning. They've won 4 in a row again. But, again, this is fine because they have to beat these teams. They may never have to beat the Yankees, and they may never have to beat the Blue Jays because they're undefeated. I got one loss, sorry. One loss against the Tigers, the Nationals, the Athletics, the Red Sox, and the Reds, and the White Sox. So they're 16-1. Is that what they are? Sorry. 18-1 against those two teams, those four teams. 18-1. It's one way to get to the playoffs. You got to win those games. You got to beat those bad teams. So good for them. They did set a record yesterday by hitting a home run in their 21st straight game. That's pretty impressive. Randy Arozarena hit it in the first inning. They set a major league record, as I said, by going deep in each of their first 21 games. Who held the record before that? It's the best start. By the way, their 18-3 start is the best start since 2003 when the Yankees started out 2003. I'll point out the Yankees did not win the World Series that year. They're 12-0 at home. Best start at home since the 2009 Dodgers. Rosarina hits a homer off Dylan Cease, the White Sox supposed ace, to surpass the previous mark of 20 games, the first 20 games by the 2019 Seattle Mariners, and did put them ahead 3-2, and they finally win this game. So, another record for the Rays, playing good baseball for sure. There's CA with us early today. Good to have you with us, CA. In between matches of the Australian Darts Open. I tell you, we got to have a professional part of our show every week, Mr. CA. Anyway, what else happened yesterday? We'll get through some of this. Adalis Garcia hits 3 home runs, has 8 RBIs yesterday as the surprising Rangers. I don't know if Alex is with us yet this morning. Or Alex is with us. Alan Perales, his Rangers, who I've been bashing all winter, 13-7 now. We'll get around the league and we'll talk about some of these records. But Garcia's off to a decent start, and 3 homers and 8 RBIs, not a bad game. Now, of course, we're playing the A's, who I was challenged by Scott Coate, one of the other hosts on Let's Talk Sports, to name a starting pitcher without looking on the A's. I could not do it. I believe Drew got one. I don't know if Drew will be with us this morning or not. PDC European Tour. We'll promote the league here. I can't talk a lot of darts, but, we'll lose every viewer we have, but I'm just kidding, though. CA. Again, you got me hooked on this damn app on my phone. I can't play darts that well for real. But anyway, what else we got going on Major League Baseball? We'll talk some, we'll get to, I'll probably go through the power rankings a little bit. We'll go through the standings a little bit. Fernando Tatis is back playing right field. Got his first homer of the year. After returning from an 80-game drug suspension. Hit a ball into the left center field stands against the surprising Arizona Diamondbacks. Padres did get a win over them Saturday night, but he had been hitless in his first 7 at-bats with, I think, 4 strikeouts. It's going to take him a little time to round into to playing for him. The Padres are an interesting case study. I mean, are they going to be any good? Of course they are. On paper, they're better than anybody in baseball. Their pitching has been really letting them down. And I still think this team is very, very good. And as I said at the beginning of the season in our preview shows, it's going to come down to whether the chemistry is there for this team. Tatis just adds another ego to that locker room. I feel like I'm shaking. I do feel like I'm in an earthquake here because I'm looking at the screen. So some interesting stuff there. We'll see what happens. We'll talk more about that as we go forward here. The Pirates, another team off to a surprising start. They gave their manager, they're off to a 14-7 start. They gave their manager, Derek Shelton, an extension. He was set to expire, so he was a lame duck this year, which is never a good situation for a manager or a coach. They didn't specify the length of this contract, but he's 142 and 242 over 3 years. So I don't expect this start to last for the Pirates. Just an FYI. Another pitcher, another star pitcher hurt. At least, I'd say hurt. The difference between hurt and injured. He missed a start yesterday with what is being called very mild, by the way, in quotations. This is something to be concerned about. Bicep tendonitis. He'll miss his next scheduled start, which was Saturday. Sandy, did I say Sandy Alcantara, by the way? I think I did. If I didn't, that's what I'm talking about. He's a reigning Cy Young Award winner in the National League. And he's not the only pitcher dealing with injuries on the surprising Marlins. Trevor Rogers has got a left bicep. The bicep strains here are a epidemic, if I can use that word. I don't know if I'm supposed to use that word. I probably offended somebody. Sorry. Trevor Rogers has a left bicep strain. He's our left-hander, by the way. And right-hander Johnny Soweto has a right bicep strain. So apparently biceps in Miami are endangered. So be careful if you're traveling to Miami. What else? Chris Bryant, no big surprise. He gets hurt in a Rockies game yesterday. What a waste. This guy was a really good player as a young man, a younger player with the Cubs. His stock dropped a little bit. He should have signed with the Mets. He should have signed with a contender, and he wanted the money, and he goes to the Rockies. He's been an afterthought ever since. And Drew Smyly of the Cubs lost a perfect game when he had a collision chasing who is he chasing down here? Collides with his own catcher, Yan Gomes, while attempting to field a ground ball. To me, that ought to be a team inning. Now, he had a perfect game going into this was during the 8th inning. Now, that's approaching a perfect game. I had a little tiffy. I had a little hissy fit a couple of weeks ago. Maybe it was last Sunday when I read a headline that, Domingo Germán had flirted with a perfect game when he pitched 5 perfect innings for the Yankees. I mean, come on. Oh, what's going on here before I move on to some other stuff? Listen, the Baltimore's playing well. Let's get it. We'll jump into the standings right now. And we may have, if Drew does join us this morning, we'll backtrack a little bit because I know Drew likes to get into the baseball stuff, but we can backtrack at any point. Let's jump around the league in the standings. Toronto continues to roll at 18-3. As I said, 18-1 against some of the worst teams in baseball. The Orioles have moved into second place by a half game, 13-7. They've won 5 in a row, playing really good baseball. Again, I thought this team would win in the low 80s and miss the playoffs. And let's see. I pulled up Drew's picks here just so I'd have them. Oops. Oh, crap. I lost them. Let me pull them up here. I think Drew had picked them to make the playoffs. Bear with me one second, if you will, while I pull this email up. I couldn't print it this morning. As I moved my office downstairs, I may have lost some of the wild cards. No, he did not. He had the Yankees, Rays, and Mariners. But the Baltimore's playing really well. Yankees, nice win yesterday for the Yankees, by the way, I think. And the most exciting part of this for me was watching Volpe hit the ball the other way, very Derek Jeter-ish. And by the way, I will use that analogy a lot. I'm not saying he is as good as Derek Jeter, but Derek Jeter wasn't a superstar in his rookie year. Let's just remember. And Volpe is playing really well. He's only hitting about 200, but he's getting on base. He's stealing bases. He's making all the plays. And the thing that really excited me about this 2-run home run to tie the game yesterday is he drove in Peraza, who played third base yesterday. So a little glimpse for me of the Yankee future, because these two kids are a big part of it. And I want to continue to see that. And, if that costs me, Gleyber Torres getting traded. Look, Gleyber's off to a decent start, but he's hitting 250 with 2 homers and 7 RBIs. Playing okay at second base. If you can't teach you to play left field, then maybe Gleyber Torres is your best trade chip. Some other interesting things happened in this game. Before the game, there was a little gamesmanship. Garrett Cole said he did not notice it. By the way, he lowered his ERA to a league best 0.79 yesterday. He said he didn't notice the gamesmanship. The game was about to start, and Manoah and Kirk come walking in from the bullpen. He was all ready to pitch. And he's got to stop. He's squatted down, and they just kind of strolled in nonchalantly. And then there was Manoah came inside to Aaron Judge and hit him, and Cole had to be held back in the dugout. He was on his way. He was on his way out there. So little rivalry with Manoah and Cole, and they had some words. Let's see. I wanted to see there was something here from Manoah that I wanted to. Cole several times sidestepped what appears to be a growing rivalry with Manoah. He says, "I get all my motivation from inside the clubhouse, not outside." But Manoah had something to say here. What did he say? Manoah's jabbed at Cole before being labeled the worst cheater in baseball history this offseason. What a jerk. Shut up. Don't get me going. So he hit Aaron Judge with a sinker last August. He hit him yesterday. I thought there was another quote I wanted to read here, and now I can't find it. Damn it. It's not here. That's all right. Maybe I'll come across it later. It was something that Manoah had said about Cole I thought was interesting. Oh, I'm going to get there, Kenny. I'll get there right now. We'll take a little sidestep. We'll do it after because I see Drew here, so I want to make sure we continue with baseball. Right after, at the end of this little baseball segment, Kenny, we'll talk about it. I mentioned Joan Joyce at the top of the show, and we've talked a lot about women athletes. And this woman I'd never heard of, and I saw this post on Facebook. Kenny was kind enough to send it to me yesterday because I probably would have forgotten about it. But she was a softball pitcher. She played on the LPGA Tour. She was a coach at Florida Atlantic. She struck out Ted Williams. And, maybe my opinion should change. I don't know. We'll get to her, I promise you. 50 perfect games, 150 no-hitters, 753 wins in women's professional softball. And then again, 714 wins as a coach. She also played in the LPGA Tour. But I'll get into her a little bit. We'll talk for a few minutes. I'll bring the article up, and I'll share some of the details of her career. Oh, can't stay. Drew stopped in to say hi, and so we'll continue on with the baseball. Good to see you this morning, Drew. Babysitting the grandson. That's a good thing. You had an overnighter, maybe, and apparently I always throw off the wrong foot when I throw darts. Oh, really? I don't know. I don't even know which foot I throw off of. So, CA, I'm assuming where you would normally lead off your right foot. I think you throw, like if I was bowling, I would land. I'm a right-hander. I would land on my right foot, my left foot. Sorry, but it's the other way in darts. I think, right? You lead with You lead with the same leg that you're throwing with the arm. I think. We'll let a resident dart professional speak up on that. So anyway, continuing through the league, Blue Jays, again, not playing bad baseball, 12-9, but they're 6 games out of first because of the Rays' continued dominance. I don't know how that line set is going to last. They played one good team, guys, and they lost 2 out of 3. The Red Sox hanging in there at 500. I'm going to get through what do you got here? An overnighter. Why shouldn't women have their own show? See, don't get me in trouble, man. I have had a hard time. I've had a hard time getting past this whole thing that women athletes can't beat the best men athletes in the same sport. And I'm trying to make up for that a little bit with talking about Joan Joyce a little bit. We'll do that in just a little while. Darts is the only game that you get better at when you drink. That's true, Alex. And I believe, Alec, you can, I said Alex, sorry, Alec. I believe darts is really big in the UK, if I'm not mistaken. And I guess CA can probably speak to that as well. But he's at a tournament in. Well, there's a tournament going on in Australia right now. I don't know if he's there. I think he's watching it. So, what do you got here? Best 10-game streak in the AL Central. Yeah, so I was going to get there. My teams that are by hot and cold. I had cold the entire AL Central. Everybody's on a 2 or 3 game losing streak except the Royals, who are stink. They're on a 1 game winning streak. And you're right. The Tigers at 5-5 have the best record. 4-6 for the Twins. 3-7 for the Cleveland Indians. Oh, sorry, Guardians. White Sox 2-8. The Royals 2-8. And the only team that's on a winning streak is the Royals at 1 game. Pretty bad. Pretty bad. The Twins, who started off to a good start, have really kind of hit the rocks a little bit, but they're fortunate because the Guardians are playing worse. So they're the 2 teams to beat in this division. There's nobody else is going to pressure them at all, I don't think, Drew, at all. In the West, excuse me. In the AL West, I think I'll skip the AL West. Oh, gosh. I wish Al was here. I would just skip the AL West. Before I go there, we got a couple comments here. I'll come back to yours because I got one more. We got darts. We got a lot of darts talk today. Darts is big in the UK. Great night out watching it. There you go. Good. Drew talking about the. Oh, wait a minute. Kenny's still on the AL Central. Let me go back there. Oh, did I check out the AFL? Pretty cool, but very different. First, it's on a round field. What's the AFL? Is that the new football league? I don't even know what we're talking about. It's on a round field. We'll get into that, Kenny. I'll take a look for it. I think we're talking about football, but no more Fonda Braves, Kenny. Yeah, I know, because we're offending everybody. What'd they change their name to? Mohawks? Oh, you can't do that either, probably. Man, my head's going to freaking explode. I swear to God. Let's get back to some... Australian football. Okay. I have not got there yet. I know I have to, and I promised one of our newer viewers that I would check it out. Maybe it's Ian. I'm trying... Losers. That's not fair, Rick. Fonda losers. Oh, God, I hope we don't have too many followers in Fonda. Let's get back to baseball. Texas holding up as long as their arms do. The arms are doing okay. We talked about Perez going off for 3 home runs and 8 RBIs yesterday. Let's take a look at their let's take a quick look at their numbers again. Perez leads them with 7 homers, 28 RBIs. That's pretty good through April 23rd. That's pretty good. In what? 20 games? 21 games? Sorry, 19 games. He's got 28 RBIs. He's got his average up to 260. The on-base percentage still lacking, but their on-base percentage overall has moved up to 339. This is one of my big things with this team. They didn't get on base enough. Oh, excuse me. The hiccups a little bit. So Simeon's off to a good start. Nathaniel Lowe, I think you're getting what you would expect out of him. Young, thank you for teaching me how to say his name. Drew, I did hear it this week. Got banged up the other day, but I think he's okay now. He's off to a good start. Probably rookie of the year, a rookie of the year contender, which I think, let me pull up your email here, Drew. Wrong mouse. Drew picked Henderson or Young? I think I picked Henderson. It's funny. I couldn't find... I've got my team picks, and I can't find my... I pretty much know who I picked for some of those awards. That's not the most important thing anyway. But anyway, they're off to a good start, hitting 260, getting on base 340 clip. That's much better. The pitching still worries me. I mean, DeGrom's pitching great, but when's he going to get hurt? Evaldi's not been that good. Martin Perez has been very good. Maybe last year was not, an anomaly for him. John Gray has pitched pretty well, but he's going to get hurt as well. And Andrew Haney, who I kept hearing about what a great pickup he was going to be, he's pitched all right. Got four starts and 2 wins, but 1 quality start, which, by the way, I don't know why I mentioned that, because to me, the stat for a quality start isn't all that great. And he's pitching to a 4.34 ERA, so he's pitched okay. And Dane Dunning, who's pitched both in starting and relieving. Actually, no, he has not started a game. My bad. I thought he started a game. No runs yet in 15 innings. So I don't expect this pitching to hold up. And in turn, I don't think the Rangers are going to hold up and hold off the Astros. The Astros have started to get it going again a little bit. They've won 3 in a row. They're over 500 for the first time. The Mariners now have won 2 in a row to pull within a game of 500. Those 2 teams, I think, will still be, the standard bearers in this division. Maybe the Rangers, with this good start, maybe they can contend for one of those wild card spots, but we'll see. Houston's starting to roll, as I mentioned. Drew and I are always on the same wavelength, and I apologize for that, Drew. Oakland, 31 game. Is that the pace now? Oakland is 4-17. I said they would lose. I said there was a possibility. They probably won't, because they'll have some kind of hot streak somewhere that this team could lose 130 games. That would be 31 and 131 for you guys who didn't go to Perth and can't do the math. It's just historically bad. I don't know how they can. I just don't see how this team cannot lose at least 115 games, 120 games. I believe 120 is still the record. 62 Mets, I think. The head of the Indian tribe asked the government to allow Fonda to keep it, as that is what they are called, period. Again, this whole era of political correctness has left me in the dust, let me tell you. Because me, going through life, I must offend a dozen people a day, because I guess I just don't care. It's not that I don't care. I'm not going to call somebody, I don't know. And I get some of it. I really do. I shouldn't say I don't care. That's not true. But the Braves, come on. How is the Braves offensive? It's a compliment. What do you got? The PDC, due to the Wuhan and global economics, is perhaps the fastest growing professional sport in the world. Axe throwing and cornhole leagues can get on ESPN. Darts shall be. Good. I didn't know axe throwing was. Cornhole I've watched, and I can't watch. I just can't watch it. Now, axe throwing, we did it. A couple of months ago, we had when my boss was in town from Utah, and we had some meetings in our offices. I set up some team building for my people at work, and we went axe throwing, Generation Axe, to give them a little plug, I guess, in Albany. And it was a blast. Had a blast. I would never have done it, and I just thought of it on a whim. I'm glad we did it. How many drops are in a downpour? I can't tell you. Tell me, Kenny, because I don't know if this is a joke or not, but I couldn't tell you. Like bowling actually would already be established in North America if PBA, like the PBA, if British Dart Organization hadn't seen so short-sighted. CA well versed in the underlyings of the dart world. Drew's on to the National League East. Braves still rolling along. They did lose 3 in a row now. I'm sorry, they aren't rolling along. They're 14-7 now after losing 3 in a row. The Mets have moved to within a half game. They lost yesterday as well, but they're 8-2 in their last 10. The Marlins, 12-10. The injury to Alcantara will be something to watch. Also, the injury to Trevor Rogers, who was, I think, my pick for comeback player of the year this year. They all have bicep injuries, and Johnny Cueto all have bicep injuries, which is interesting that you have 3 pitchers with the same exact injury. So we'll see how that plays out. The Phillies starting to right the ship a bit. We're trying to get to 500, right? And the Nationals are the Nationals. Again, there's going to be at least 1, 2, they won't lose 100, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, probably 7 teams that lose 100 games this year. Or there's a good chance, not probably. There's a good chance. I'm counting the Tigers, the White Sox, the Royals, the A's, the Nationals, the Reds, and the Rockies. Maybe the Giants. Maybe 8. One of those teams will get hot. That might be a record. If there were 800 lost teams, it's possible. If cricket can get on TV for 5 days, any sport can. We don't want to bash cricket players, do we? Yeah, well, we'll read through. You don't need to apologize for grammar here on this show. Right, Drew? The Central, my Brewers, 7-3 in the last 10, 15-6. Only half game lead over the surprising Pirates, who I said earlier extended Derek Shelton an unknown number of years. He was a lame duck. 8-2 in their last 10, 6 in a row. Playing good baseball. Another team that I just don't see the pitching hanging up. Even if these previously really unknown players who are carrying them. Ryan Reynolds is having a good year, but they're having some good years out of some lesser known players. I don't think their pitching is going to hold up. The Cubs are playing okay. Plus 43, by the way. Cubs have the best run differential in the National League and third in baseball behind the Rays and the Rangers. So the Cubs I bashed pretty good in the offseason too. I had this team. What I have this team win? Only like 79 games or something. What I have? Central. I'm sorry. NL Central. Cubs, 70 games. 73 games. Sorry. So they're playing well. 12-8. Off to a good start. Cardinals, 8-13. One of the biggest disappointments in all of baseball. The Reds, not a surprise. They've lost 5 in a row now. The surprising Diamondback. Well, let me stay in the Central for a second while I get through some more comments. I'm bouncing up and down, Kenny, because and you probably weren't here, but I've moved my studio / office to the basement, and I'm on a folding table that I thought was pretty sturdy, but I have a habit of hitting the table. So until I get settled with a new desk, I've got to be more careful about what I do here. So I hope I'm not making anybody dizzy and getting ready to throw up. So I apologize. I'll try. I'm trying, and I lean. I tend to lean, and it's been a problem the last couple of days, but we'll do the best we can. So I apologize for that. So no, my bladder is fine. Thanks for checking in, though. I love cricket, but sometimes 5 days can be too much. I don't have enough beer. Milwaukee's still flying despite injuries, and we talked about Burns and not pitching. Well, that's actually, to me, that kind of bodes well for the Brewers, right? Because, your best pitcher is struggling, and you're still playing 700 baseball, 714 to be specific. So playing very, very well. Pirates soaring with 6 wins in a row. Cubs hanging in. Like I said, their offense is carrying this team. Again, I don't think this team's got enough pitching. I'm not sure Bellinger is going to hold up for an entire season and play well. He's been so bad. Maybe the change of scenery will work. I mean, some people had him winning the MVP. That might have been Mark Mancini. But off to a decent start. Cardinals, as I said, biggest disappointment. What do you got here? Cards still not recovering, and the Reds have lost 5 in a row. David Bell's probably, we're going to start looking at that probably by next week. You know, who's in danger of being fired? There's some pretty good candidates right now for getting fired for sure. India is about to pass China in population. I'm not sure where that came from. Kenny, but random. What is it? Is that true, by the way? Because that seems like it. I mean, aren't there like 10 billion Chinese? I'm not doubting you because I don't know the numbers, but it's kind of a random fact. But thank you, Kenny. NOS completely mediocre in their last 10 for sure. 5-5 again, the best record there. That's by the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers, who are 1-2 in the standings. Padres only 4-6. Padres, listen, they're only a game and a half out of first. I mean, with the bad start, even the Giants are only 4 out of first at 7-13. Diamondbacks, Drew and I both like the Diamondbacks to do better this year, as I've talked about on some previous shows, and look at, they're hanging in there, and you don't get yourself buried early. And teams like the Padres and Dodgers, I don't like the Dodgers. I really didn't get the hype about the Dodgers being that deep. I don't see it. And I think you're seeing it in the infield. You got Mookie Betts playing shortstop. That tells you something about your infield depth in my mind. Now, it's good if he can play a competent shortstop. He gives Robert some really great flexibility during games, but I think their infield is overall not very deep, and I don't think the offense at all is very deep. The pitchers are going to get injured because you've got a couple guys with history, obviously, like Kershaw and Urias, and Gosselin's already hurt. Not even sure what his timetable is right now. So, and if the Padres, again, have those chemistry issues that we've talked about, then it's possible that a team like the Diamondbacks could sneak in here and either steal a division, or because we've seen teams loaded with talent like the Padres, not even get to 90 wins. Maybe Arizona will be a year ahead of where I thought they were. I thought it'd be a year before they could potentially contend, but we'll see about that. Astros are starting to find their rhythm and grind out series before they even get back the little Spitfire back. That's a good point, and we haven't mentioned that actually even in the first few weeks here, CA, that I'm sure a big part of the Astros struggles are the fact that, their leader, their spark plug, to use your see, my belly hits the table too. That's why you see me moving around. Their spark plug, as CA said, Jose Altuve, is out, at least another month, I think, right? So when he gets back, they're starting to get it going without him, and when they get him back, they'll be that much better. So I still like the Astros here. Is it me or baseball players getting fatter? It's not you. I mean, you see guys like Vogelbach from the Mets, like Vlad Guerrero trimmed down. If in his second year, I had a big Blue Jay fan. He was from Ontario, and he said Vlad was going to be blah blah blah, and he probably will be Hall of Famer at some point. He's got a long ways to go, but he's a great player. But in his second year, I would have bet my life he was going to eat himself out of the league. He was looking like Cecil Fielder. So, I mean, yes, I would say Lance Lynn, if you watch a World Baseball Classic, there was a couple of guys, Lance Lynn on the USA team. The Cubans had a guy who played DH that I swear he had to be 350 pounds. And you've got Vogelbach, like I said, with the Mets. Some of these guys, I mean, it looks like me in a baseball uniform. That's not a good thing. I'm 63. He's 30. I didn't look like that when I was 30. Did I, Kenny? We were still playing ball yet. But Kenny's always been a skinny shit anyway. Good ball player, though. Loved playing ball with Kenny. Kenny was a gamer, smart guy in the field. Josh Rock is going on stage. I don't know who that is. Well, this is not just him, Drew. Take a look at Lance Lynn. Oh, and there's a couple other guys around the league, but Vogelbach's probably the worst. That's funny. Same thing happened to me Friday. I still got this person's performance report up on my computer. It just popped up. Oh, God. So, yeah, Lance Lynn is the other guy that comes to mind. Dodgers can only be so deep when you keep losing pitchers and shortstops. Agreed. You know what? And this is the thing that gets me. Guys are injured all the time. Pitching, we've talked about how thin pitching is. And now we're going to talk about, as we did a little Friday on the Major League Baseball update, about expanding. Why? Baseball doesn't need 32 teams, guys. A's are moving to Vegas because Oakland won't support them. You know, I got on the fans, and as I kind of thought about it in retrospect. I'm going to say retrospectively. I don't think that's a word. Maybe I'm too hard on the fans because, again, as was pointed out to me several times in some comments after I did the show, they've been playing in antiquated football stadiums since the 60s. And Oakland wouldn't build them a stadium. Now, again, I'm not a fan of taxpayers paying for stadiums. Happens all over the country, and I get it. But I'm not a fan of teams holding cities hostage either. Patriots have I believe, the only non-public funded stadium in the NFL. But, so maybe I was too hard on the fans. The city and the team needed to get together and figure this out. Probably the city, you know, again, I don't know. I want to blame the city for that, but then how do I blame the fans for not wanting to go to a crappy place to watch a game? But at the end of the day, go support your team. I guarantee it doesn't cost much to go to an A's game. Not like it costs to go to Yankees or Mets. I mean, if I'm going to go see the Yankees this year, I'm liable to go to Baltimore. Well, now that they're good, it might be harder to get tickets, and they might be more. So, Drew, I'll let you fill the guys in on any information you want about your grandbaby. I don't want to share that information. That's there you go. 4 months. It's funny. I thought he was older too. Man, either time's going slow. Anyway, cute kid. And an overnighter, 4 months. Very brave, Drew. Very brave. For sure. Let's see what else we got going on in baseball. We talked about the Yankees game yesterday, and I did enjoy seeing the kids revitalize that team a little bit. Had a couple of things I wanted to talk about here. Let me look at let's look at the power rankings real quick. Want to see what, because I'm probably not going to agree with them is my guess. So we'll see how we got here. I'm interested to see where they're a couple days old now, but I always like to go through this real quick and then kind of give our take on the experts' take, right? Major League Baseball power rankings from 3 days ago, just 3 weeks into the season. They got the Braves 1 at 14-5. This is obviously before their last few games. I wouldn't disagree. I mean, to me, I can't put the Astros up there, but Going into the season, Braves were 1-2 for me. 2, Tampa Bay 16-3. Just reading what they talk about. Watch out for third baseman Taylor Walls, who leads the team in WAR. I hate this. I'm okay with this. Hitting .350, .435 on base percentage, .700 slugging percentage, 3 homers, 3 doubles, and 1 triple. I don't care about WAR. And I know Drew disagrees with me with this. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. It means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. There's so many variables that you can't put into a statistic like WAR. It isn't. If you're playing a game on a piece of paper, right? Or playing Stratomatic, maybe, Drew. We're not. These are human beings. You know, so it's impossible to say that the replacement player that you're saying you would have won this many games more of. That was probably not very well spoken. Because you have no idea what the other guy would have done if he'd played in that many games. Whatever. I mean, again, I'm not going to get into a whole big thing, but I just hate it. Every time I see that WAR in capital letters, my freaking head starts to hurt. Yankees number 3 in the ESPN poll. And the Mets 4, which, you know, I'm fine with that. Yankees are off to a fine start. Yankee pitching woes may catch up with them, though. Again, Rondon's still out. Severino's still out. Rondon, who knows when he'll pitch again. He's had arm and back problems. And the Brewers at 5, by the way. Let's get a couple of comments here. Grandmama's doing most of the work, but laughter is worth all tea in China. By the way, I can't let this go. So are we going to have to start talking about all this something else in India because they're passing China in population? If you knew me well, you'd know that's not true, Kenny, but the giggles and laughs are definitely worth it. I'm sure Drew does more than his share. I'll agree with him there. So when we do get our, and I don't know when I'm going to be able to do this because the next few months are going to be very, very busy for me, but we're going to do our next happy hour now that once I get settled. It may be August, it may be September, but we'll do it. And I would suggest, Kenny, you spend some time with Drew. Just kidding. You guys do what you want. James Outman might be rookie of the year in the NFL. NL. NFL. That's too funny. Let's take a look at Outman's production so far. Okay, James Outman. Where is he at? Oh, please don't. You know, it's funny. I go to Baseball Reference. The first thing I see is freaking WAR. I used to love the Baseball Reference. Stop doing that. 7 homers, 19 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, 314, 407, OPS of 1121. I'm okay with all those numbers, by the way. MLB.com, thank you for not putting up ridiculous metrics in front of me. All I care about is counting numbers. They mattered in baseball for 150 years. They still matter. Yes, Drew, great start for this kid. Great start. And the Dodgers need it. And maybe I'm wrong because possibly the Dodgers, if they've got these kids, which, again, I wasn't that high in their farm system myself, but maybe they do have some kids coming up that are going to help carry the load here, and they will be able to continue. Listening and working my fantasy. God, glad you brought that up, Rick. But you guys can now watch me check my fantasy team because I forget every freaking day. I got so much going on. And again, I know that's not an excuse because I don't allow other people to make those excuses because you got time for everything that's important to you. Just got to check quick and I'll check again later, but I'm going to be so much going on. I got to get a starting pitcher in here. All right, we're good now. How am I doing? Got a lot of points to make up. I only got a 2-game cushion this week, 2-point cushion. I buried myself the first 2 weeks. Anyway, what I skip here. Don't look at war, but I'm a newbie. I couldn't stand. I just won't. No. If we made war a stat, I'd be out so fast that your head would spin. I don't think you can do that anyway, probably, Drew. But what Major League Baseball's, I'm guessing, team? I think the Cardinals would be the most disappointing in my mind. Phillies, but I expected the Phillies to be bad, so I guess I can't not be bad, but bad. 80 wins. That's what I predicted for them. It's the Cardinals for me. Probably the White Sox would rank up there. I thought they might not make the playoffs, but I did think they'd still be a competitive team, if nothing else. So they haven't really performed to standards. So there's the teams that I would put there. I mean, the Padres, 11 and 12. They'll be fine, probably. What are the odds that we get to see Keith break that table? The table's fairly sturdy. It just shakes. I guess I'm going to try to push it up against the wall. I said I was going to do that Friday. I didn't get a chance. But that won't stop the side to side, right? You see me? Well, maybe I'm not moving side to side. Is it the up and down that's worse? Yeah, that's probably worse. Yeah. Some good TV, right? Oh, God. I'm going to have a few months of this, so I got to figure it out. War doesn't help in fantasy, Rick, newbie or not. War doesn't help in real life, Drew. God, it's not a real stat. It's comparing numbers on a piece of paper, not actual performance on the field. I think, well, again, you'll tell me I'm wrong. I know you will, but again, I stand by my statement. Keith's winning his matchup this week. Rick's doing great. I'm paying dearly for my first 2 weeks of success, losing 14-4. Well, I think losing 14-4 would have been great for me, Drew. The first 2 weeks. No, I did all right, I guess. I was 9-31 for the year going into this week. I got a long way. I did the same thing last year, buried myself early and couldn't get out. Kelnick is doing great. Kelnick is playing very well, and there is a pretty good selection of rookies this year. I like Altman right now in the National League. That's a good pick right there. I got to look back because I can't remember who I did pick. I know I did pick Schneider to be my first manager to be fired. That probably won't happen, as I think the Blue Jays got off to a decent start. War actually takes into consideration not only hitting stats, but I know what it takes in. It's all stats, though, and ballpark fact. Listen, Drew, we're going to continue. We'll continue to disagree with this because it's a made-up stat. I do not think it has any relevance. I shouldn't say that. It has some relevance. But I think it's given way too much credence. That's what I think. When I'm told that the counting numbers that do matter, I'm sorry. They still matter in baseball. Scoring runs, which I know War takes into consideration. Runs produced. RBIs, runs scored. Home runs, doubles, triples, they still matter. I'll tell you one of the most irrelevant stats in baseball as far as counting stats is probably stolen bases. Unfortunately, Kellenick, he doesn't qualify as a rookie. No. So much for that. All right, what do we got before I move? I might move on the NFL here in a minute. We talked about the Scherzer suspension on Friday in a Major League Baseball update. We haven't addressed it here. I think 10 games is way too much. I get, you break a rule, you got to pay the price, but Pitchers are just looking for an edge. And I'll say it again. I saw another guy get hit in the face the other day. You don't give these guys. You give these guys baseballs that are they don't have the I don't want to say consistency. I don't know what I want to say, but you can't get a grip on a baseball without a little help these days. And when you try to use too much rosin, you get in trouble for that too, like the Yankees did when Herman was pitching a no-hit perfect game the other day or a week ago. So now you got guys who are throwing a freaking 100 miles an hour, and they're going to kill somebody. Garrett Cole said this last year when they made the big deal about spider tack. I mean, it's something they aren't thinking about. Pitchers don't just use it to get an edge and increase their spin rate. Yes, does it help them? Yes. But why does every advantage have to go to a hitter? Why? I'll move on. Nope, sorry, that isn't it. Kenny, war. Yeah, if you got to use grenades, I would take put more credence in it, Kenny. If you could avoid being killed by a grenade that was being thrown at you, you should have a pretty good war rating. We talked about the Athletics going to Vegas. They did buy land to build a future stadium. Whether they'll build their own with their own money still remains to be seen. I guess I've covered all that now. What else you guys got? Anything else for baseball before I move on to the NFL? If only the fielders can't catch them. Oh, my God. 20 points. I'm 20 games out of first place after 2 weeks. I'm complaining about the A's. My God. The A's are like the freaking 1927 Yankees compared to me. Oh, yeah. No, I thought that was new. Sorry. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about the NFL. I will warn you, we'll talk about the NHL and the NBA probably in the last half hour. I'll do the NHL first so we don't lose everybody. Kenny, I know, will jump off as soon as I bring in the NBA. But I got to talk a little Knicks. As much as I like the Knicks, I don't want to get there yet. A lot's being made about their defensive effort the other night, and they did play well, but Cleveland was just god-awful. Let's jump into the NFL just for a bit. Well, maybe more in a bit. See how you guys are feeling here today. What's going on in the NFL draft news? Actually, we got to start with the biggest story of the thing. And this may take, this was what might carry this section a lot. So Jameson Williams is among four players and four Lions players and a Washington player. The players were Jameson Williams, Quintez Cephas, C.J. Moore were all suspended indefinitely for betting on NFL games. They're going to get at least a year, like Calvin Ridley got, it looks like. And Shaka Toney from the Commanders did. They can reapply for. I take that back. Jameson Williams will be back this year. I think he's coming back after 6 or 7 games. Williams and Stanley Berryhill are being suspended 6 games for mobile betting that occurred at the Lions Park facility. Now, you understand you're not supposed to be wagering on sports as a professional athlete. You certainly shouldn't do it on site. My problem with this is, and they didn't bet on football games. If they bet on football games, my argument would be a little bit different, but not totally. They would be suspended. They might be kicked out for good if they're betting on football games, or if they're betting on their own games, that'd be even worse. But that's not what's happening here. But the NFL is in bed with gambling sites that are paying them hundreds of millions of dollars. I don't know the exact numbers they're getting from the FanDuels and the DraftKings and the blah, 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 blah. So they get in bed with gamblers and take all that money, but then tell their players to stay away from it. If I'm a player, I'm thinking, you're getting your money. Why shouldn't I have a little fun betting on the NCAA tournament or whatever they did wager on? And also some league Lions front office people got suspended as well. I mean, Williams is the number one draft pick and probably going to be one of their number one targets for Goff this year. And a team that's moving up. Now, these kids are stupid. Don't get me wrong. They shouldn't be doing this. I'm not condoning what they did. But for the league to be taking millions, if not billions, from these betting sites, it's hypocritical beyond even the realm of common sense. And I agree. Grandson is waking up from his nap. Got to go. Go have a good one, Drew. We'll talk to you later. CJ Stroud will disappoint. His cognitive, I'm not sure about his cognitive scores lower than Biden's. That's a good line, by the way. I don't know. Well, Kenny, I don't think the comparison to Marino is unfair. I mean, that's what Marino scored. Now, I don't disagree that CJ Stroud will not be Dan Marino. I think two of these quarterbacks at least, will not have big careers. Anthony Richardson is not going to have a big career. I think Will Levis will. I think he's just built for the NFL. Possibly, we'll talk about it more, possibly moving into the top four. And we'll talk more about this gambling thing if you guys are wanting to. But this is a stream of consciousness show. So I don't think the comparison right now is fair. Dan Marino, if you remember, and not a lot of people do, between the cognitive score, and I don't know if that was that big in 1983 when he came out, or 83? Was he part of that 83 draft? I think he was. He fell way down because of this and drug rumors that hurt him badly. Even the Steelers passed on him, I believe. And he ended up with the Dolphins and did very well. But, I mean, the fact is, the comparison is, the only comparison that was made was that, and what do you suppose Terry Bradshaw's cognitive score was? It might have been a negative. So, I don't know. Do these things mean something? Sure. And then we talked about it on the Mac and Jack show, is instinctive football. I don't know what they use to do these cognitive scoring. Does it have anything to do with situational football? If it doesn't, then it means nothing to me. Nothing. DeMarcus Russell, one of the biggest draft busts in history. Don't know what his cognitive score was, but I can tell you his athletic scores were off the charts. But he didn't have any instincts on the field. So, I don't know. With all that said, I'm not the biggest CJ Stroud fan either. I think Murray's got a better chance to succeed, especially early. I think Levis has a better chance to succeed, especially early. Why would they get in trouble for betting when it's being promoted? Well, again, that's the hypocritical part that I talk about. If they're not betting on a league, now there are rules that you cannot do it on in the team facilities, and that's what's happened here, or at least that's what the NFL's hanging their motives on. But to me, if a guy wants to go bet on the NCAA tournament, put a futures bet in on baseball, what do I care? Man, my belly's shaking this thing up bad, isn't it? Better lose some weight. It's hypocrisy beyond the pale, Kenny, to take all this money from all these sites and tell these kids, you're suspended, I'm taking your money back. Because they're not going to get paid. It's ridiculous. Well, I don't think they should bet on football at all, Alex. So it's not just their team. The team is really bad. But betting on NFL games, which by all accounts they did not do, again, I would suspend them. If they were betting on football, NFL games, I would have a totally different take on, well, My take on the player side of this would be different. My take on the league would be no different. I said this was opening up Pandora's box when you get into something like this. When leagues, and it's not just the NFL, it's all the sports are in bed with the DraftKings and all the states too, by the way, except for a handful. I shouldn't say all the states. At least half the states in the union have legalized sports betting now. Mobile sports betting. My heavens, Rock and Mansell are going to the Noble Leg, meaning decider. Okay, thank you. I thought they were up for knighthood or something. Once again, Ohio State doesn't produce a good pro quarterbacks. Well, again, the Big Ten in general, well, I shouldn't say that. The Big Ten has had some really good quarterbacks, obviously, and Tom Brady, Russell Wilson, Drew Brees. So the Big Ten does produce some quarterbacks, but Ohio State has been, listen, again, their job isn't to produce quarterbacks, right? I wouldn't take him either. Not in the first 4 picks. And I've said this, and I'll say it again here. I think this quarterback class is way overrated. Last year, they kept saying, oh, next year, guys are waiting for next year to take quarterback. I still love Will Levis, and I think he will be a steal if he falls down in the draft. A lot of talk that Will Levis is coming back up, though. And it would depend on circumstances. He's probably fallen out of the first 10 and maybe into the 20s. If it gets past 5, he gets past 7, he could fall a while. Well, I'll have to look at the rank. Let me look at the draft order here. Do I have it in here? Hang on a second. I want to look at something. I lost my train of thought here. Damn it. Where is that? I get clicking around, then I lose my spot. I wanted the draft order. Let's look at the draft order. Hold on. Because there's a good possibility. There's going to be some trades, too. The 49ers are thinking about trading Trey Lance. Possibility is they're in on Aaron Rodgers now. So, anyway. I don't want draft rumors. I want draft... Man. Order. Thank you. Jeepers. First round. Carolina, quarterback. There's talk that the Texans will not take a quarterback and maybe take Will Henderson. We know their coach really values defense. Arizona's not taking a quarterback, so there's talk now that the Titans will trade up from 11 to 3. So if the Texans do take a quarterback and the Titans trade up, it's possible that the 4 guys that we're talking about, and Richardson, I just don't understand, but he's in this conversation, unfortunately. Now Levis could jump back up to 4. Seattle likely isn't going to take a quarterback at 5. They could take a quarterback later on. Lions likely aren't taking a quarterback. Raiders could take a quarterback. But after that, well, Falcons, Jesus, I'm not sold on Desmond Ridder. Bears are not taking a quarterback. Eagles aren't taking a quarterback. Texans do have the 12th pick. Texans could conceivably, if they want to take a chance, they could take Will Henderson at 2 and pick a quarterback at 12. It's possible Levis is still there. Jets, no quarterback. Assuming Rodgers doesn't sign with the 49ers before the draft. Patriots, don't care about what you hear, not taking a quarterback. Probably trading out of the first round. Washington or Green Bay, no, because they've got Love. Commanders, unlikely. They like Howell, but a possibility. Steelers, no. Lions, again, no. Tampa Bay at 19, very real possibility for Will Levis if he drops as far as some people think. More like Vince Young talent, but no brain. I don't know. I don't know the kid. I can't. I got to watch him play more. And I got to watch him play at this level. And I'll tell you, played a great game against Georgia. He looked pretty smart in that game. Just saying. We don't know. There's no way to know it. And to me, to take a test score, listen, if you took my test scores, I'd have never made anything of my life. I know that it's a little different comparison. Nobody's giving me millions of dollars. Josh gets over the line against Mickey Manziel and his countrymen from Northern Irish Republic. Continued updates from CA on the big dart tournament in Australia. Vikes trade inside the division with the Lions. I don't know. It'd be interesting if they traded within a division. That'd be very interesting to see. I do expect the Patriots to trade down out of 14 and maybe all the way out of the first round. Belichick, I don't think, and the organization, and I think a lot of people, I kind of feel the same way, that I think there's a lot of good talent in this draft, but there's not what you have to pay first round draft picks talent in the first draft. So I don't see the Patriots staying at 14 and hoping Porter's there. A lot of talk about Witherspoon for the cornerback out of Illinois for the Patriots, but then I see some mock drafts this morning that have him going as high as 7. I don't think the Patriots will take him at 14 even. I saw them trading back to the 20s and maybe getting Witherspoon. But his stock has been rising. But knowing Bill Belichick, he'll trade back here, and I wouldn't be shocked if he traded all the way out of the first round. The Australian Darts Open. Thank you. I forgot the name already. My cognitive skills are not that good either, by the way. They did, and the Lions took the... Oh, right. That's right. They did. Good point. Good point. A lot of picks from other teams in this first round. You've got Carolina with the number 1 pick from Chicago. You got Seattle with Denver's pick at 5. You've got the Lions with the Rams pick at 6. How's that look? How does that look today? You wouldn't have thought that would happen, right? When this trade was made and then the Rams win a Super Bowl, would we have thought that the Lions would end up with the 6th pick with this draft or this pick? I did not think so. You get the Bears, obviously, with the same trade with Carolina at 9. They traded out of that first spot. You got the Eagles at 10 with the New Orleans pick. That looks pretty good, too, because they fell apart last year. The Texans with a pick from Cleveland. Texans with 2 picks in the first 12. I really might roll the dice if I'm the Texans and take Will Henderson at 2 and hope one of the quarterbacks is left. You could do worse than Henderson and Levis if Levis lasts to 12. I still have my doubts he gets past. Well, again, if a trade gets made with Tennessee to go to 3 with the Cardinals, which is likely, they don't need a quarterback. And they take Richardson, who, again, I have no clue why he's in the top 4 discussion, but it's probably going to happen. Then the Colts may have to take Will Levis. They have to get a quarterback. And if he doesn't go there, he may not get past the Raiders at 7. If he does, then the Texans would have a shot at him at 12 if they want to go the other way. Kenny's cognitive score goes way up when I release the flour into the crevices. That's not to my mind. I don't know. I didn't know anything about India passing or getting ready to pass China in population, Kenny. I'm still waiting for the numbers, by the way. Oh, I missed a story about Joan Joyce. I'll do it after the football. I promise you. We'll talk. We'll go a few more. I think my wife is doing some work I'm supposed to be doing in a little while. I hear her banging around in the back here. let's get to what other draft news is going on. I want to get into some. Let's just see what other news is going on in the NFL besides that. Cowboys pick up the option on C.J. Lamb, with the eye on making it a longer deal. Falcons release cornerback Hayward to save $5 million on their cap. Matt Patricia signed with the Eagles. If you haven't heard, he's back to coaching defense, but I don't think he's going to be on the field. I think he's going to be kind of an analyst type position like he had with the Patriots before last year. And I have to tell you, I talked about this on the Mac and Jack show. I talked about it on a couple of shows earlier in the week. I think what's gone on here with Matt Patricia is a shame, and I think the Patriots ought to be ashamed, and Bill Belichick ought to be ashamed. Matt Patricia is a good soldier. He was a great defensive coordinator for this team before he left for the Lions. Failed as a head coach. Yeah, they brought him back. I was asked if I thought that was Robert Kraft wanted to bring him back and not Bill Belichick. No, I think Belichick wanted him in the facility. Well, Belichick put him in a position that it was going to be very hard for him to succeed. Yes, he's a very smart guy, an RPI grad, literally a rocket scientist. But his background is all on defense. You make him the offensive line coach, that's one thing, but you make him the play caller, it's a totally different thing. And there wasn't one seasoned offensive play calling person on his staff. Puts Matt Patricia in a bad spot, puts Mac Jones in a bad spot. This is a bad look for Bill Belichick, and this all smells of him trying to cover up for his own mistakes, which he has not owned up to. Because every time he's asked about it, he says good coaches should be able to coach any position. Stupid. Sorry. Just is what it is. Alan. Richardson's going. Richardson's not going to go at 20. He shouldn't go in the first round. But Richardson's going to go in the first 4 picks, Alan. I mean, you can't. It's very hard to find. Again, the majority. You go find anything you want in a mock draft, right? And I know it's your opinion, so that's all well and good. And if he's going if you got him going at 12, then you got him going to the Texans. So I guess you're thinking they're going to take Henderson at 2. There's no way Richardson's getting out of the top 10 unless a lot of teams move around. He's not going to get by. I mean, all indications are if he's there for the Colts, they're taking him. Because you're telling me this way, the Colts aren't taking a quarterback? Well, I guess you're saying that either Stroud or Murray will be there at 4. I didn't look at your mock draft. I apologize, Alan. Extend the show so she does it all. So she does it. Extend the show so she does it all. Oh, God, I didn't know. Oh, God. No. Texans should take Will Anderson. I said Henderson. I meant Will Anderson. My bad. If I said Henderson, I apologize. I'm talking about Will Anderson. I added an H to his name. I don't know why. Well, they can get a quarterback this year too, Alec. I think they should take Henderson. Sorry, I said it again. Anderson. And they still like the 12th pick. There will be I believe Levis, as Alan said, it's a good chance. I don't know. I'm not sure Levis gets by the Raiders. I still got him at that 7 spot, but there's a chance they don't because they signed Jimmy G. Now she's having a conversation. Hope you guys can't hear that. No, why it's so loud. What was I saying? See, I lost my train of thought. Correct. Oh, they should take Anderson, and they can get a quarterback at 12, most likely. And if they can't, you're right. They can wait till next year. Or they can find somebody later in the draft. There's some good quarterbacks. The Patriots got their eye on Jack Hafner from Fresno State, and he may go, but he's going to be a 5th, 6th round draft pick. Australia and New Zealand do already have well-established dart association systems. AT doesn't. I don't know what AT is. However, the EU's economic crisis has many attempting to learn darts for coins. Nice. Hey, if there's money to be made, learn. I got really good on this app. Can I play in the app for money? CBS News projects, there we go, finally, projected India at $1.42 billion. Wow. Wait a minute. Oh, 2.9 million. I thought there was a billion. My math was really escaping me. That's 2.9. Interesting. So that's now. You say they've overtaken them. Interesting. Here's Alan's. Let's and by the way, Alan, sorry you weren't here for the baseball part of this. If you'd like to gloat a little bit about your Rangers start, you can feel free. This is a stream of consciousness, and we can back up to it a little bit. I do need to get into some NHL and NBA and talk about Joan Joyce here in a second. So Young, Anderson, Gonzalez. So you're saying Arizona stays at 3 and takes Gonzalez. I think they're trading the pick. I think they'll trade that pick. I think Tennessee will trade up and probably take Richardson, which, again, Alan, when I say that, you're not wrong sliding Richardson in at 20 because he doesn't have top 5 talent. He doesn't have top 10 talent. He doesn't have top 20 talent. He's got athleticism. That's top 5. He's as a quarterback, he's not a top 5 pick. He's not a first round pick. I don't get it, man. He's the most polarizing guy in this draft, without a doubt. Right as I get worked up, you probably see my picture bouncing more and more over this frickin' table. Austria, but did I say Australia? What'd you say? Did I say that wrong? My cognitive skills are off again, CA. Oh, you're saying, you said Australia. I didn't. I only read what you wrote, buddy. Oh, maybe you meant. You said Austria. I can listen. I misspeak enough without getting help. I'll wait to do that Tuesday. What's Tuesday? Are we playing you guys? Where's the schedule? Are we playing you guys, Alan? Time we got 10 o'clock. No. Are we? That's I got the wrong New York team. Nah, we're going to Minnesota. Why Tuesday? What's Tuesday? My mock is no trade, but I do feel Arizona trades out. I think they trade out too, and I think whoever gets in there probably takes the crazy reach on Richardson that I just don't understand. Yeah, Richardson going to Seattle at 20. Listen, for Seattle at 20, it's probably worth the gamble. But to risk a top 5 pick, you're putting your job on the line picking a kid who, I haven't seen him play but 2 good games in college. Well, Tuesday, your baseball show. Well, maybe I'll get on. I'm so busy, though. What time's that show, Alan? Is it live, or are you going to not let me get on and comment? I might have to get on there. You can gloat on my show. I've been ripping you and your team for a year. You can gloat. I got nothing else for the NFL. We'll see what happens. Let's talk. Oh, let me get into this first before I get into some NBA and oh, where'd it go? I lost my share. Oh, I know, because I closed out of here when I went to Mac and Jack. We'll put this up. This up? Yeah. So you can't see it very good though, can you? What if I do this? What if I stop sharing? Hold on. Where'd it go? Come on. I want to make it bigger. Can't do it. Well, now she disappeared. I'll leave it up here like this. You can't see this very good, unfortunately. Damn it. Should I put the... No, you know why? Because I had it slid down. Let me do this. Let me try this one more time. There we go. Now you can see a little bit. Sorry it's not bigger. This is Joan Joyce. Kenny put... I saw this on Facebook, and I kind of read it and kind of moved on. Thought it was kind of cool. But Kenny sent it to me. And I think because we've talked a lot about women athletes recently, and I've been getting myself in a lot of trouble with his wife and my wife and everybody else's wife, probably. But I've been very stingent that they couldn't compete at the top level with men. But they could probably beat lesser level men. Now, Joyce played for, let's see, she was born in 1940. She died here just recently, March 26, 2022. She was a softball coach for Florida Atlantic for 28 years until her death in 2022. She previously was a softball player on the Rabesto Brakettes and the Orange Lionettes. She had set records on the LPGA Tour as a golfer. And I've talked a lot about female athletes in the past, like Jackie Joyner-Kersee and FloJo and Althea Gibson and Babe Dickerson. Great athletes. Just a couple. But this woman excelled in several sports. So her playing career in softball, most consecutive All-Star teams, 18. 8-time MVP in the national tournaments. Most victories in a season, 42 in 1974. Shutouts in a season, 38. Most innings pitched in a game, 29. Career doubles, 153. Career doubles in a season, 22. Doubles in a season. Career triples, 67. Her pitches were, this is softball, over 70 miles an hour, which is that's good for a guy. She pitched 150 no-hitters, 50 perfect games, had a lifetime earned run average of .009 in her record 42-win season, and she pitched 38 shutouts. In golf, after she played softball for her career, she joined the LPGA Tour from 77 to 94. She had a sixth-place finish in tournaments in 81, 82, and 84, including a round of 66. She holds records for lowest number of putts in a single LPGA round. She was a player coach in volleyball for the United States Volleyball Association. She played basketball in the women's national basketball team. She then coached at Florida Atlantic for 28 years and won 714 games. And I found this article, Kenny, after you sent this to me. Ted Williams. She struck out Ted Williams. Now, again, softball, they're much closer. Ted Williams is not used to that type of motion and whatnot. But she struck out the great Ted Williams. And I guess this is one of my... I guess this is a comeuppance for me when I was kind of ripping women. I wasn't ripping women's sports necessarily, but I was talking a lot about, women couldn't compete with men at the highest level. Some levels they can, not at the highest. But she's a great athlete. I don't take anything away from women athletes. So I'm glad you, I didn't even see this, but I would get in trouble. So anyway, tremendous. When I think about what great women athletes, I mentioned a couple that always come to mind. Babe Dickerson. Babe Zaharias Dickerson, right? Or is that the other way around? Babe Dickerson to Zaharias. She's the first one always comes to mind. But this woman, tremendous career at a variety of sports and also excels at the highest level catching. Live at 4 p.m. Eastern time. A little early for me, but maybe I can turn it on. Oh, shoot. No, I can't this week because we have to go to an inspection at the new townhouse. Oh, I broke the news. Yes, we will be moving here in the next couple months. Let the Seahawks take the pick and fail, please. Yeah, Alec just got ulterior motives there. Alec, you know what, Alec? I want to bring this up before we leave the NFL. The rumors here in New York have gotten very, very hot that the 49ers are now in play for Aaron Rodgers, and they're going to trade Trey Lance. Now, they don't have any draft picks to trade. And the Jets were not trading number one this year anyway, which the San Francisco doesn't have a number one this year. I don't know if they have a number two next year either. So I'm not sure that they can make this happen because of those drawbacks. Now, if they have a number one next year, because the Jets, I think it's a third round this year and a number one somewhere down the road, either next year or the year after. I guess what I want from you, Alec, do you think he's in play or not for the 49ers? And would you be happy to have him playing for the 49ers for 2 more years? Email once you and wife get settled. Okay, we'll do that. If we do, we will. It's very overwhelming here right now. There's so much going on. We're having to get the upstairs and one of the rooms downstairs ready because we're gonna put some new carpets in before we list a house so that we can make it a little. Again, they're knocking on our doors and calling every day. Realtors want to know if we want to sell this house because there's no inventory here in East Greenbush, and this home will go for a really good dollar. But we're going to put a little money into the entire upstairs because the carpets are like 30 years old. Not in terrible shape, but again, different color in every room. And today they want neutral colors. And so we're going to do that. So we're in the middle of that, also trying to downsize. I've got people coming from the junk place. I think Tuesday morning, we're trying to get them here. Got to get that all situated so that can all go. And we got to wait on the closing, and then we got to move. And I decided with the work that I'm doing, I was going to move this with my my son-in-law's help and some of his friends, but I can't. I can't just sit and watch. We're hiring somebody because I got to say, I'm 63. I'm going to be 63. Rick and Kenny, you probably feel my pain. Oh, I think I passed something here. Alec, my wife is a better football and soccer player than me, so I had to quit and then become a football referee. Now, I did not say individual cases on our level, Alec, that our wives couldn't be better. I don't have that situation, but my wife was never into sports. So, yes, at lower levels, as I said, I'm talking at the very top of professional sports. It's not possible. That doesn't mean there aren't great women athletes like Joan Joyce. Patty Herb almost struck me out at the company picnic. Had to choke up and tap it down a third baseline. That's a Kenny Gifford trick. I kid you, Kenny. Nope, we don't want Rodgers. Too much drama. Yeah, I don't. Listen. Here's the thing. So that means you've got to be willing to rely on Trey Lance, because from what I understand, Brock Purdy's not going to be ready to play. And Sam Darnold's not taking you anywhere. And listen, I'm not a Jet fan, as you can see, but if I'm the Jets, and the Jets have no plan B. Jets are totally screwed if they don't get Aaron Rodgers. I'm not an Aaron Rodgers fan by any stretch of the imagination, but the Jets are totally screwed if they don't get him, because all their plan Bs are elsewhere. They're in Vegas, they're in New Orleans, they're in wherever else. This team's ready to win. This team's ready to contend. Their defense is Super Bowl worthy now. And they're going to waste another year without quarterback if they don't get. And I think it's a worthy gamble for them. It could have totally implode. It could implode in San Francisco. It could implode in New York. But I think it's worth the gamble. Because they're ready to win. It could go totally sideways, too. I'm happy to move with Trey Lance until Brock gets ready. There you go. From a 49er fan who's I'm assuming tuned into the atmosphere there, and I'm going to assume that's probably shared by a lot of 49er fans. Hard, too, when the guy's been one of your competitors for a lot of years. So that's interesting. I just had that up there. All right. Let's we can go back there if you want. I do want to talk a little I'm going to go to the NHL first here, I think. I want to get into we don't have, unfortunately, we're really having trouble hooking up with our favorite hockey guru, and that's as you know, Mr. Jim Beringer, the ringmaster, but his schedule and my schedule is hooking up. I tried to get an interview done, and I shouldn't say an interview, but record a bit that we could do this morning, and didn't come off. So we'll get through this. I'm just going to update us on the different series, and we'll go from there. The Golden Knights beat the Jets last night. I like the Jets. I picked the Winnipeg Jets, in Billy's honor, to win the West and go against the Bruins in the final. They lost 5-4. They now trail Vegas 2-1 in this game, in this round. The Maple Leafs, who I think have some of the most pressure on them in this entire Stanley Cup playoff run, behind maybe the Bruins, but the Maple Leafs have had great teams the last few years and can't get out of the first round. And they get the defending Eastern Conference champions, and they won the couple of Stanley Cups before that in a row. And they do lead the series now 2-1 after losing the first game. The Devils, the Rangers lose a golden opportunity here to really put the Devils in their place, because they won the first two games in Jersey, and it was just a tough night. I mean, it was a really good hockey game. Rangers got out 1-0, and then the Ranger had twice here and lost the lead twice, and ended up losing in overtime, one overtime. But the Devils put in. What's this kid's name? Oh, Schmidt, like 6'5" goalie. He played great last night. I mean, he had 35 saves. I'm sorry, it's 2-1 the final here, right? I said it was 2-2. They lost one lead. He had 35 saves, only allowed one goal. The Devils' defense was much better, and the Rangers were not as good as they were playing on the road. So they really need to put their foot on the Devils' throat here in Game 4 at the Garden, I think tomorrow. What else happened last night? The Avalanche beat the Kraken 6-4. They lead that series 2-1. So everything's pretty close. We'll go through these series really quick, and then I'll get to your comments. And then we'll talk just a little bit of NBA before we wrap it up. The Bruins, after surprisingly losing at home to Florida in Game 2, They do come back and win the game Friday night at Florida. So they lead this series 2-1. I think the Bruins will win this. I think maybe getting away from Boston was a good thing when they did, because there's a lot of pressure on the Bruins. If they don't win this Stanley Cup, this tremendous record-breaking season will be forgotten in my mind. Nobody remembers Seattle Mariners from 2004, whatever year it was, when they lost to the Yankees and didn't make the World Series. Seattle still hasn't made a World Series. What else? We talked about Tampa and Tampa trailing 2-1. The Islanders come back after losing 2 on the road to the Hurricanes. 1 in overtime. The Rangers played good hockey. Wasn't able to put the puck in the net enough. But they did get a win at home to get this to 2-1. They really need to win Game 4 here coming up today. We talked about the Devils and the Rangers. We talked about the Avs and the Kraken. The Stars right now are leading their series 2-2. I'm sorry, the Wild. The Minnesota Wild is ahead of the Stars, one of CA's teams, 2-1. Everything's close here. We look like we're going to have a couple runaways, and then teams down 2-0 have won. We talked about the Golden Knights and the Jets. I still like the Jets to come back and win here, and they were my big upset pick to go to the finals against the Bruins. And the Oilers and the Kings, that series is tied at 1-1. They have to play Game 3 today. Not sure why they're behind the other teams. So, what do we got here? Northeast Stream Sports. Keith, great job this week. Thank you, Mac, if that's you. Try to keep up the good work. Or it could be a quiet week if you're still with me, Mac. Don't forget, I know I sent you a text. I'm traveling the end of this week, so there won't be a lot of shows on for me this week, and I won't be able to be on the Mac and Jack show on Friday because I'll be traveling. Mac, if you're doing something with the draft, I can probably pop in for a few minutes anyway on Thursday night from my hotel or whatever sports bar I find to watch the draft. And what do we got here? Kenny Surznicka threw very well, and Sue Roos. I think you misspelled that, but that's fine. We're from Perth. Struck out a couple of baseball players. No, it wasn't me. Remember, Kenny, we got to play. I think I'm sure you were doing it. I know when I was when we played, we got to play the girls. We played the girls on the softball field at softball, and we all had to hit left-handed, or the way we didn't hit, right? If you were left-handed, you hit right-handed. If you're right-handed, you hit left-handed. I did it a home run in that little tiny softball field, I want to say. I don't remember who I hit it off of. I can't remember who I hit it off of, actually. Thank you again, Ken Gifford. I remember we've got a lot of women striking out guys. I remember Sue Rusek as a cheerleader, not a softball player. She was you are older than me. Kenny's older than me, too. All right. Good to see you, Mac. Just if you want to send me a link, I'll try to hook up with you during the week before I leave. I'm leaving Thursday morning. And I'll be back until Saturday morning. Work has me going to the amazing city of Lansing, Michigan. I can't wait. I hope nobody from the company is watching. Oh, my God. Anyway, let's jump on to a little bit of NBA. Kenny, don't run away on me. I want to talk a little about we'll get into each one of these series. We'll go down this. Right now, and I thought and I didn't think it would happen, but I thought the 8 seed that had the best chance to beat a 1 was the Heat. Of course, there's only 2. And with Giannis getting hurt, the Bucks have now fallen behind 2-1. They do play tomorrow in Miami again. This is going to be a big game for the Bucks. They need to win this game. I think they will come back and win this series. But this is a big game tomorrow night in Miami, 7:30 on TNT. The Celtics Gave one up to they got blown out by the Hawks. I mean, listen, I thought the Hawks would win a game here. I didn't see him beating the Celtics by 28. And they play game 4 in Atlanta, where game 3 was, obviously, today at 7 p.m. Still like the Celtics here. The 76ers, as I mentioned Friday, I thought would wrap this up and sweep the Nets, and they did. Without Joel Embiid, by the way. We don't know what his availability will be for the start of the second round yet. So we'll see where that ends up. The Knicks and Cavs. Knicks played really good basketball the other night. They win by 20. And we talked about it a little bit this morning. The Knicks played really good defense. But I don't think it was great defense because Cleveland was like abysmal shooting the basketball. 7 for 33, which might as well have been 7 for 100 from 3. And a lot of those were uncontested three-pointers if you watch the game. Mitchell's throwing up air balls. The other guys are just throwing up bricks right and left. They missed some layups. Now, the inside, I thought in transition, I thought the Knicks defense was really, really good. And I think they fed off the energy of the Garden crowd. What the hell's that? Hang on. I got to get the right remote. I got something playing. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not, but driving me nuts. All right. So, yeah, the crowd at the Garden, I think, was better than I've seen in 20 years. And I think the team fed off that energy, and I hope they get more of that today. That game's at 1 o'clock today, which I'm really happy about. I don't have to stay up late to watch that game. Game 4 at the Garden today. Big game for the Knicks. Knicks take care of business here. They don't have to win another game in Cleveland. They win today. They go back to Cleveland. They don't have to win. They come home, and they can wrap it up. Today's a big game. Means no more wins necessary in did it again. I can't get this damn. There we go. Western Conference. Nuggets up 3-0 over the Timberwolves. I did think the Timberwolves would give the Nuggets push them a little bit. I didn't think they'd win, but the Nuggets have a history of failure in the playoffs, and they're getting it done here. They're probably going to sweep this team. Maybe Minnesota. It's the game's today. I won't see it. It's at 9:30 tonight in Minnesota. Maybe they can sneak a game out if they care enough, or maybe they're ready to play golf. The Lakers leading the Grizzlies 2-1 now. Lakers played really good basketball at the end of the season. If Anthony Davis stays healthy, LeBron's playing good basketball. So maybe load management works. Don't get me going on that. This is an interesting series, and I think the Lakers are going to win this. So you'll have a 7 beating a 2 in the West. Early in the year, I thought Memphis was a title contender, and I think things started to go off the rails when Jay Morant went crazy with its $10,000 in a strip club. The Kings and the Warriors, which I thought was going to be an interesting series. We'll get game 4 today in Golden State. The Kings really one of the surprises in basketball this year. They're the 3rd seed in the West. Continued to surprise with two victories over the Kings in the first 2 games. The first game was pretty close. The second game was not. But the Warriors were able to go home and win without Draymond Green, who got suspended for a flagrant foul, stepping on Sabonis and hurting him. But the Kings are really good. Fox is good. Sabonis is really good. They've got Kevin Huerter, local product from Shenandoah, who started his career with the Hawks. He came to Sacramento this year. He has not shot the ball well in this playoff so far, and we'll see if he can get it going as we go through this series a little further. And lastly, the team I think that will come out of the West, the Suns, have now taken a 3 games to nothing lead on the Clippers. After the Clippers won game 1, the Suns have taken the next 3 games fairly convincingly. Game 3 was close. They play Tuesday at 10 o'clock. I think the Suns are, as long as Durant doesn't get hurt and Chris Paul realizes he doesn't need to shoot the basketball to win, I think this team will come out of the West. And I had the Bucks my favorite out of the East. And if Giannis is hurt, that blows everything up. Don't drink the water in Lansing. I'll drink bottled water, I promise, and I will drink beer otherwise. Keith, there's a lot going on in Lansing. You should have a lot of fun. Is there? What's going on in Lansing other than a trade show I have to go to? I got some time to kill. Oh, I will tell you that, Kenny, in May, I've got a work road trip to Horry County in South Carolina, which is Myrtle Beach. And I'm trying to, probably don't know Tudor Brown. I used to play golf with him when I belonged to Amsterdam Uni. We played every weekend with Charlie Beekman and Tudor, and I played with Bob Sitchie before he passed. But Tudor's a really good golfer. He moved to South Carolina. He does maintenance on one of the golf courses in Myrtle, and he gets to play like I think the people that own this course, or the company that owns this course, owns like 8 golf courses, and he can play in any one of them. So I'm trying to get my flight so I get there early enough on Monday and maybe play a little golf. We'll see. That's in May. Do NBA players wear cups? LaBaby took a shot. Rick, you have very low regard for many of the superstars in sports, but so do I. I kind of like LeBron. I don't know why people get so much. And look, until he started speaking out about, China and, again, shut up. Nobody cares, LeBron. LeBron on the basketball court is one of the best players of all time. He's 1 or 2, depending on how you want to, rank him. It's hard to compare eras anyway, but LeBron does it all. And you just be quiet and you'll be better off. So I do think they wear a support. Whether they wear cups, I don't know. I didn't wear a cup playing baseball. It cost me one time, man, in infield practice in Galway. I didn't think I was ever going to get up again. See if your friend can get you on Sage Valley, one of the awesome courses. I'll find out if that's one of the ones that fall under his umbrella. I'm not even sure I can make it happen. I mean, I'd have to get which I don't mind. I'd have to get a flight that gets me in there by noon or so, probably. And then I don't have to be at an event till Tuesday, so I should work. But if the opportunity presents itself, the golf clubs may take a trip with me for sure. Guys, that's all we're going to do today, I think. That's about it. You got something left you want to talk about, we'll do it. But I want to move on. I got a lot of work I got to get through, too. We got to get the junk ready to get out of here for 30 years worth of stuff in this house, guys. Appreciate all of you guys. All the comments today. You guys carry the show. You're my co-host here, as you know, and I love doing it. Thanks, Alec. Great having you with us for the whole 2 hours. I love the input you give and bring from the UK perspective. I hope you stick with us. We'll be back next Sunday with a Stream of Consciousness. As I said, we'll have very little in shows during this week. I will probably pop on Let's Talk Sports when they start their coverage, maybe at 6 for a few minutes. I'll be on Northeast Streaming Sports for a bit when they start their coverage or whenever I can get in. But I'm only going to spend a few minutes on. I may come on during the Patriots picks for both of those shows if I can. And then Friday I cannot do my shows, any of my shows. None of them would be on Friday. Maybe the MLB update I'll try to do, but we'll see what we can do. Guys, have a great Sunday and enjoy the I've got sorry, my music ran out while I wait for it to continue. As far as movers go, we're going, with we got a very reputable company down here called Maybes. They're tied to Atlas and they're totally above board. So we're good with the movers. But thank you for the thoughts, Kenny. Guys, have a great Sunday. We'll talk to you later. Keith Engel at TGI Sports Talks Sunday Stream of Consciousness. Have a great Sunday.